Hey, future weapon enthusiasts, I'm Nick Young, the CEO of Desert Tech, and I'm here today to respond to Classic Firearms review of the Wolverine and the Tavor comparison videos, as well as some of the other videos that they did on our Wolverine rifle systems. There's been some questions from customers on our channel that they wanted me to address. And then going through all those videos from Classic Firearms, there's some false assumptions that were made and some I guess, statements that were not necessarily accurate that I want to address here today. And as I address these things, understand that I am not trying to say that Classic Firearms did a bad job in putting their content out. It's really a tough job to be a rifle reviewer and continually bring in new guns and immediately review those guns and then have a very fast, haphazard opinion of those platforms, and then do the same thing the next day. I have thought for a long time that there needs to be a much better standard of evaluation, and I want to do a different video to kind of propose what I think would be the best methodology to follow in doing a review of a product or a rifle. Anyhow, so we'll jump right into it and understand as I go through this, then I really am going to take a position of more of an engineering logic, and I don't really want to kind of create a feud between us, because the stuff I'm going to get into, you're going to see that it takes some after action analysis to surface those things. And as you put the content together like Classic Firearms did, they don't really have that opportunity to do that during the filming process. So the last negative that surfaced in the video was that a PMAG kept dropping out of the Wolverine in 308. And after we saw the video, then we did a CAPA with our engineering team to figure out how this happened, because we had created a new redesigned magazine catch system to ensure that that problem never occurred. And what we discovered was that our warehouse clerk didn't realize that the MDRX magazine catch parts were different than the Wolverine mag catch parts, and they mixed them together. And so when we figured that out, we re-separated them, and we had a handful of rifles that we needed to resolve under warranty to put the new Wolverine mag catch parts in there. So to dive in a little bit deeper, why did we have the issue occasionally on the MDRX? The reason we had the issue was that the tolerance stacking and geometry of the mechanism in a certain configuration would only allow the mag catch to lock under the lip about halfway. And so when they first started shooting the gun, it was fine. But over time, the lip of the magazine would start to erode and wear out. And they actually erode and wear out all the time on any rifle. If you look at your old used PMags, you're going to find that that lip is no longer sharp anymore. But when you introduced a magazine that had the erosion on the magazine feed lip, not the feed lip, but the catch lip, then you'd shoot the gun and the catch would slip and it would fall out. And so that's why in the video, when he introduced the Lancer magazine, it didn't have an issue with falling out because it has a steel lip there. And then they introduced another Magpul PMag, and that one didn't have an issue falling out because that lip wasn't eroded away like the mag that was in question. So I hope that answers the question for anybody about the magazine drop in the Classic Firearms video. Now, there was another gentleman online that is a pretty small channel that had a similar issue, and he was in the same batch of those MDRX parts that got mixed in, and we resolved that. Now, anyone that has an MDRX that has mag drops, we know how to resolve the problem. So please send it in under warranty. You don't have to worry about that. We can get it. We can bring it to where it needs to be. So the next negative comment that was surfaced with Classic Firearms is they are claiming that the Wolverine gets too hot after just 10 rounds of fire. That's complete garbage, absolute garbage. That's dramatized. It couldn't be further from the truth. The Wolverine heats up at the same rate as any AR-15 rifle. It has a steel barrel with an aluminum receiver, and the Sabertooth has an aluminum handguard, but it heats up at the exact same rate. And I got videos with temperature readings shooting a traditional, more standard AR style rifle next to our Sabertooth, and to demonstrate the rate that the heat builds up. And it doesn't get too hot to the touch until you've fired a couple, I think we got through 4 mags of full auto fire with the Sabertooth before we couldn't hold our hand on the side of the receiver here. Now, there is a big benefit to the design of the Wolverine rifle systems compared to an AR, and that benefit is the barrel trunnion is back here instead of up here under the handguard like on an AR-15. When it's up here under the handguard, that barrel heat soaks into the handguard and it starts to get too hot to touch on the handguard. When the barrel heat is back here, you're not touching back there. There's no reason to be touching back there. All of our touch points on the Wolverine are polymer. We have our polymer lower, our pistol grip, our forearm on the Wolverine is polymer. We have a polymer cheek piece. We have an insulated cover on the side. So at no point are you going to be touching the area that's getting hot like you would on a AR-15. And you don't see Classic Firearms complaining about how every AR-15 they review gets hot after 10 rounds. So that's just, it's complete garbage, absolute garbage. And they made the comment that, if you get your face on there, that you're going to burn your face. I mean, I don't know about you, but how the heck are you going to get your face all the way up there while you're shooting? I mean, our cheek piece goes all the way to the front sight. And even at the very front, my face is not even capable of getting close to the area that gets warm in front of the ejection. Now, it is true that the Tavor rifles don't get hot on the exterior as fast as an AR-15 or the Wolverine. And the reason for that is because they wrap the entire rifle in plastic. Plastic is an insulator. So what does that mean? It means the outside of the gun isn't going to get hot. What else does it mean? It means that you're not dissipating the heat out of the barrel. It's not a good situation. You're overheating the barrel. You're going to erode the barrel faster. You're going to get cook-offs faster. And so if you want a fully plastic wrapped gun so that you don't have any heat leak out of the gun at all, the Tavor is the answer there. But if you want a gun that has polymer and insulated polymers at all of the points that your body's actually going to be touching, and at the same time, you want the barrel heat to be rapidly dissipated to increase the barrel life and to reduce the chance for cook-offs, then the Wolverine's a better choice. So here's the videos of us testing the heat.
Okay, you're good.
All right, so we're going to do temperature tests in response to Classic Firearms. It says that after 10 shots, the Wolverine becomes unbearably hot. So we're going to compare the temperature with a CMMG Quattro setup and our Quattro 15 setup, which is a conventional AR, to see if indeed the Wolverine gets hotter than a normal rifle. So apparently it's unbearably hot. So we'll start with this guy here. So you can see temperature, starting temperature is 60 degrees, no rounds fired. So we'll take a mid temperature reading, 52 degrees at the handguard, action is 70 degrees. Anyways, 80 degrees right at the barrel junction, 63 degrees where my hand's holding. Receiver back here, 65 degrees. Very good. We'll finish shooting the mag and then take another temperature reading. Okay, temperature reading 80 degrees at the back of the handguard, 80 degrees where I'm holding the gun, 75 degrees on the receiver. All right, Wolverine time. We're going to do 2 mags. We'll take a temperature reading after the first mag and then another temperature reading after the second mag. Empty. Okay, 80 or 70, 80 degrees at the front of the ejection port. Handguard is 65, 60 degrees. So if I get on these nuts right here, it's a little bit hotter, but up here where I'm holding, then it is, shoot, it's getting the barrel. That's why it's doing that. Okay. Okay, if you don't get the barrel, it's about 70 degrees. Here, I'll just do right here. So 57 degrees. So when it's not going through the M-lock slot and hitting the barrel, it's only 57 degrees. Now it's going through the holes again. So receiver back here, 82 degrees, 81 degrees. Back here, 62 degrees. So as long as we're not going through the holes on the M-lock slots, we're about 60 degrees. So second magazine. Okay, temperature reading 94 degrees in front of the ejection port. Up here on the handguard, 63 degrees. 65 degrees, as long as we're not getting the barrel. 68 degrees, 70 degrees. Yeah, it's going in the holes, but it's not hot at all. Anyways, so I don't know what they're talking about because this is the same flipping temperature as the CMMG. So, okay, I don't know if we even need to do the Quattro because anyways, but you can see that the temperature is the same as any other standard alloy gun like an AR-15. So, of course, the Tavor is completely encased in plastic. So if you really want to have a plastic experience, you can put plastic or rubber inserts in all the M-lock slots and achieve the same kind of insulation. All the other parts of the Wolverine that have skin contact points are all polymer, just like the Tavor. You got the lower that's all polymer, the grip that's polymer, and the cheek piece that's polymer. So there's really not anything touching your hand that's not polymer, unless you have the saber-tooth handguard, which is aluminum, and it's not getting hot, as you saw in the video. Good deal. So we're done with the heat test. We want to we're going to do a fourth mag dump with our Surefire 60 rounder. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And see how it goes. Full auto. I'm going to go for headshots only. Dude, see how I head over there? It's like all in the head. Not bad. Oh, let's take a temperature reading. So fourth full auto dump, 148 degrees, 137 degrees, 140 degrees. Handguard area, 92 degrees, 90 degrees. Of course, the barrel underneath it's hot, but you're not touching the barrel underneath it. You go back in here, 100 degrees up in here. But this is, we did fourth magazine, 4 magazines full auto, with the last one being a 60 round Surefire. Anyhow, so it's not that hot. See? It's not that hot. All right. The first one being that the Wolverine in 308 recoils a lot harder than the Tavor 7 in 308. And the reason for that is because our Wolverine is 2 pounds lighter than the Tavor 7. So if you want the recoil to be the same between the two rifles, you can just deck it out like I got here, put an optic on there, put a black label on there, bring the weight to the same weight, and you're going to get the same recoil. Now, with the Wolverine being as light as it is, we understood that, and so we ship all the 308s with our ratchet compensators, which reduce the recoil substantially and also keep the muzzle neutral. And you'll see in Classic Firearms' initial review of the 308 Wolverine that they were shooting it with the compensator, but they didn't like the overpressure of the compensator like most people. So if you're not going to actually kit out your 308 and you're going to use this as a door kicking rifle, which is how Classic Firearms had it set up, then you can put double ears in and deal with the overpressure, or you're just going to have a little bit more recoil. Now, or you suppress it. So very easy to mitigate the recoil with a suppressor or with our ratchet compensator.
I will say this, it being 308, I really don't feel a difference.
Okay.
I can feel that
So, okay, when it comes to recoil management, I felt now they were both the same, about the same. Okay, so unspressed, giant difference. But spressed, they're about the same.
One of the other things I should mention is that the Tavor 7 ships with a compensator, just like our Wolverine ships with a compensator. The FN Scar ships with a compensator. So most 308s are shipped compensated to help the user manage the recoil better. We made the Wolverine rifle so light because we wanted to account for the system needs of the rifle. Very rarely does somebody buy the gun and go out and shoot it naked with just open sights on there anymore. Everybody's putting either an EOTech on there, a suppressor on there, an optic on there, and we knew that that was going to happen, and we wanted to have a system weight that was superior to anything else, and the shootability is off the charts on both the 308 and the 5.56 if you set it up as a system or you run the compensators on there like what I mentioned earlier. Talk about the positives that they mentioned about the Wolverine. First being that the Wolverine in 5.56 had the same shootability as the X95 Tavor in 5.56. Now, shootability is the ability to shoot very rapid fire and stay on target at the same pace, the same speed, and the same controllability. Anyhow, so, however, after that got done shooting the shooting drills, and one of the guys mentioned that he thought the other guy was shooting more accurately with the Tavor than he was with the Wolverine. But as you analyze the footage of them shooting those drills, you'll find that they shot mostly small targets with the Wolverine and mostly large targets with the Tavor. So I think that that comment really is probably just not paying attention to what targets are being shot at, as well as a lot of personal bias towards the Tavor, which was very obvious and made obvious throughout the video. You know, kind of wanting to have the Tavor be the winner kind of thing, whatever. But so here's the video of the two drills overlaid next to each other so you can see big targets versus small targets.
All right, man, have fun with it.
All right. All right, lock to the rear. Dude. I'm not going to say anything, but this pretty good. Let me put this away.
I got one ready for you. Have at it, brother.
All right. All right, so
Which one did you feel more accurate?
I felt like I was pretty much the same with both.
Okay.
What do you think? Did you think I was more accurate with this thing?
I think you were. You swung it around a little bit more, like or a little easier to me, but that's just me thinking.
The second thing that they mentioned was that the ergonomics of the Wolverine, both of the guys said that the ergonomics of the Wolverine was better than the Tavor, and I would 100% agree. And maybe I'll take a little bit of time to describe why that is. The things that I wish was more ergonomic on the Tavor is I don't like how square the top cheek piece is. It really kind of pins into my cheek a little bit too much. The top rail is too low for most AR style sights or AR style scope mounts or optics. They really should have made a taller rail for the X95. The hand grip is very tall and rectangular and not smooth, and it's not as ergonomically pleasing to hold. The handguard itself is very short. I wish that it extended out to the edge of the barrel. Let's see, do I have anything else on my list? Oh, the hand grip is a bit small. It's not terrible, but it's a little bit smaller than what I prefer, but I do have very large hands. And the butt pad angle. So the butt pad angle on the X95 is, you know, pretty much vertical, and I don't like that. So I was lucky enough to shoot a micro Tavor in full auto when I was in Georgia many years ago, and the butt pad on that rifle actually follows this profile on the back of the gun here and is more ergonomically comfortable. So they had to put this big square butt pad on there to meet the length requirements, so this wouldn't be an SBR. So I understand why they did what they did. One of the other things that I wish was better on the Tavor series of rifles was that the field stripping and disassembly allowed better access to the internals of the gun. The way that it sits now is you have to take each of the pieces out individually and it still doesn't give you internal access to all of the areas that you may need to access to resolve a problem. The next positive that was mentioned was that the gas in the face was a lot less on the Wolverine unsuppressed and suppressed than the Tavor was. So enough so that they stated that the suppressed Wolverine had less gas in the face than the Tavor unsuppressed. And the reason for that is inherent to the gas piston design differences between these two guns. So the Tavor series of rifles, they have a long piston, and that piston, I'll pull it out and show it to you in a bit, but that piston is a cone shape that's facing back towards the action. And so when they shoot and it pushes the action back, all the gases that are pushing the action back are still flowing forward, and they go back and they exit the action into the shooter's face. In our Wolverine, then we have a short stroke piston, and when it goes into the short stroke piston housing, the piston pushes rearward, the excess gases vent out the side, and in turn vent out the side of the gun right here where I'm touching. And so those gases don't stay in the receiver to flow all the way back. The next positive on the Wolverine was that both our 5.56 and our 308 Wolverines outshot both Tavors in 5.56 and 308. The 5.56 more noticeably was a better group. The 308 Wolverine was noticeably better, but not by the same margin as the 5.56. Now, to be honest, one 5-shot group really is not a good determinant of the actual accuracy of an auto-loading rifle, but we have done substantial testing with the Wolverines, and I will share the results of our accuracy tests of the 5.56 and our 308 in some video now. First, we're going to illustrate the 6.5 Creedmoor accuracy. You can see there are 5-shot groups for a total of 25 shots fired at these 5 diamonds. In the 5-shot groups, we averaged 0.86 MOA with an average mean radius of 0.27 MOA. The next caliber that we're going to cover is the 223 Remington. We achieved the best accuracy out of the 16-inch barrels with the Huxworks suppressor and the Black Label bipod, and with Berger match ammunition. So the average group size for the 223 for all 5-shot groups was 0.93 MOA, with an average mean radius of 0.34 MOA. Lastly, we're going to get into the results of the 308 Winchester. Now, the average accuracy of our 5-shot groups of 308 was 1.27 MOA. The average mean radius was 0.45 MOA. Another positive about the Wolverine that was somewhat debated in the Classic Firearms videos was the weight between the systems. So our 5.56 Wolverine is almost half a pound lighter than the X95. It's 0.4 pounds lighter. And they kind of went back and forth saying, you know, the Tavor's lighter, no, the Wolverine's lighter. Yeah, the Wolverine is lighter by 0.4 pounds. Perhaps they may have just needed to check the specifications on the guns or put them on a scale or something. When you compare the Tavor 7 in 308 to the Wolverine in 308, then the Tavor 7 weighs 9.2 pounds naked. The Wolverine weighs 7.2 pounds. So the Wolverine is 2 pounds lighter than the Tavor 7. So what does that mean? That means that you can put a Trijicon VCOG on your Wolverine, you can put a Black Label bipod on your Wolverine, and this weighs just 0.4 pounds more than this. Or you can take and deck it out as more of a CQB system with a maul, with a Huxworks suppressor, with a BCM grip and a hollow sun sight with backup irons, and it would weigh 9.4 pounds. So this is 0.2 pounds heavier than this guy right here. So yes, our Wolverine systems are substantially lighter than the Tavor 7, and they're lighter than the X95 by a decent margin. Another comparison, you can put the Tavor 7 up against a 20-inch barrel 308 with a SIG optic and scope mount, a Black Label bipod handguard, and this is just 1 pound heavier than this. So that means that this is closer in weight than a naked 16-inch Wolverine is to this. I just want to say that I do appreciate Classic Firearms and the reviews that they did on the Wolverine. I think overall they do a great job as a channel, and even in the reviews they did, I thought they did a really good job trying to fairly represent both products, Tavor and Wolverine. It's really easy for somebody after the fact to deep dive into the video and kind of see pieces that were maybe not understood or forgotten or just misinterpreted, you know, like the weight issue. You know, why is a 308 Tavor kicking less than the 308 Wolverine, not realizing that they got a 2-pound difference, which is huge. That's like more than a scope in most cases. I generally refrain from responding to any kind of negative press out in the YouTube sphere, because I understand that as a company, I'm going to be viewed as biased, and that's why in our analysis today, I put numbers to the statements that I'm making, as well as try to maintain a conversation on a logical engineering front rather than emotional bias or emotional opinions. I'm going to put out another video of what would be the best way to review products, but I'm also going to explain why it's not going to be feasible for most reviewers to do it, because it gets too time intensive and too expensive, and it would be very difficult with the monetization restrictions for any YouTuber to make any money at doing rifle reviews. So it's kind of one of those things. But us as a company, we do have more opportunity to do a more thorough testing and a more thorough review. And I'm going to try to, in the future, involve you guys in those testing to a much higher degree. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, because YouTube does not like innovation like we do, and like the video so that it gets out there to everybody.